Got it like this close to the line and I was like, does it count? And he's like, no. Hi guys, so I have some very important news to share with you, but first off I'd like to say hello, long time no see. I know I have not done my makeup since quarantine has started, and so today when I went to put on like just a little foundation, a little something on the cheeks, you know, a little something on the lips, I just got really carried away, so you're welcome. Okay, so today's amazing news, I got to swear into the DEP program of the United States Air Force. Very exciting. Today I'm just going to be talking about my MEPs experience. I've already had a couple people like through Instagram and Facebook message me about how to enlist, like where to get started, what to do, because you might want to hear it from a person you know, so you like have that trust in them, that they're not just like a random person on the internet spewing garbage. So if you guys have any questions about that, if you've ever been curious, just leave me a comment below. I want to do a video about how to enlist and like tips and tricks of all that fun stuff. So in about December, I decided that I wanted to enlist into the United States Air Force right before Christmas, like literally like 2 days before Christmas Eve, before they went on stand down. So I went in and I took a little pre-ASVAB just to like see where I was at. If you don't know, the ASVAB is like a big test that you take. It's like 3 hours long, a ton of questions from everything from like mechanics to reading comprehension, math, science, all of that in between combined into one big test to see how much information you retained and like critical thinking skills and all of that fun stuff. So I took that and I got like almost to 70, it was like 68, 69. The jobs that I wanted were all 72s, and so like I was like, okay, I'm super close, I could literally just study and get it, no problem. With Air Force, I don't know if it's different with other branches. I was able to actually take the ASVAB online. Like a week or so later, a recruiter texted me back and told me what my score was. I scored an 84. So then because I took it at my own home to like make sure you don't cheat or no one else took the test for you, you have to go into MEPs. MEPs is like the medical processing area, and like they do other like exams or qualifications there. It's like to make sure you're qualified to join the military. All branches go there, it's not just Air Force. And I'm fortunate enough to live in San Diego, so I just got to go to San Diego MEPs, which is literally like not even an hour away from my house. And so I took what was called a confirmation test, and the confirmation test essentially is just making sure that you score within 20 points of your original score. So if I scored an 84 and I go in and I score like a 50, they're gonna be like, all right, so who took this test for you? So I went in and it was like literally such a long day. Like when you go into MEPS, they take your phone and like everything, you have to lock it in this room. And I sat in a room for hours. I got to go into the testing room and I was in that holding room for 5 hours. Just sitting there. And I was told by my recruiter that I was there for a 30-minute test, because the confirmation test is just like a few questions from your actual ASVAB put into like this abridged version of the test to make sure like, okay, are these answers the exact same ones that you gave us before? Is that you're still like your brain doing the work? Because it was absolutely freezing in that room and I was ravenously hungry. They keep it super cold in the room because there's like 30, maybe 50 computers in the room, and like it's just a ton of people, so like it's gonna get hot. So they keep it really cold, and they also keep it cold to keep you awake. At the end of your ASVAB confirmation test, if you don't score within that 20 points, they make you take it again on the spot. And then you can either better your score or you can make it way worse. They also told us that like people can get randomly selected, just like the computer randomly picks people, and I was like, please not me, I don't want to sit in here forever. And then after that I took like a cyber test and then like this personality test or whatever that is definitely screening for white supremacists. So if you're like a Nazi, maybe don't join the armed forces. Just a suggestion. If you don't know, there's a global pandemic happening right now. Wow. So like any large gathering or any gathering of any amount of people really is very frowned upon and pretty dangerous. So I had no idea if I was gonna be going to MEPS or not. Like I knew that the time was coming, but I just assumed maybe like in the summer when everything's gone, hopefully. But I did get a call from my recruiter that if I could go to MEPS, I could if I wanted to. So typically when you're supposed to go to the hotel, check in between like 3 and 6 or 3 and 7, whatever, and then you get a roommate and you're in that room for the night, and you can go to like the common areas and hang out and watch TV and play video games and talk to the other recruits, and like it's a fun time. That's not how it was for me because of the coronavirus. I went to MEPS and I had my boyfriend Adam drop me off. I had my mask and gloves and everything and all my paperwork in a little folder. The reason why I had to stay in the hotel, even though I live in the same area as the MEPS, they wanted to screen us all for the coronavirus before we even got into MEPS. So they wanted to like get all the people out of the way who even had a slight temperature or any type of symptoms to not even go near the MEPS. Because if the MEPS shuts down, then processing shuts down, and then people can't get into the military, and that's a problem. So how my experience went is, went into the hotel to go like check in, and a liaison came out and was like, okay, he like gave me a little brief about like what's gonna happen to this next room when I go in. And so I had to like walk in, hand sanitize it up, walk up to the two nurses that were like in full gear, like the full medical gear with a face mask, the face shields, everything. And so I had to fill out a piece of paper saying I haven't had any symptoms in the last 2 weeks, I haven't been directly exposed in the last 2 weeks, haven't done any travel in the last X amount of days, you know. Basic questionnaire to find out if I have coronavirus currently. And then they did a temperature check, and it was fine, and so they wrote down my temperature for that night, and then they gave me my hotel key card, and then I got to go up to my hotel room. I checked into my room. It was really, really nice. So I went down and got my meal, and it was like pre-packaged. It was like barbecue chicken, a roll, mac and cheese, some roasted veggies. So I went back to my room and ate all that, and then I tried to go to bed super, super early because when you leave for MEPS, you are up at 4 a.m. because check-in time to the MEPS is at 5. So they want you up and at 'em at 4 a.m. to typically like just get breakfast and get on the bus, right? Well, this time was a little different, so I actually woke up at like 3:30, 3:45. I started getting ready and like packing my bag and everything. And then so I went downstairs, and then we had to wait in this line to go get screened for coronavirus before we could grab breakfast. And we were all standing in line like 6 feet apart, and she kept coming through to make sure we were staying like 6 feet apart for sure. And they took my temperature again, wrote it on the paper, and they told me to keep both of the papers with from last night and that morning with my temperature on it to take into MEPS to show them before I could even like get in the door. And then we got to MEPS, and instantly they came on and yelled at us to get off the bus. They were not like yelling at us like they are gonna do at BMT, but they were yelling like enough where I was like, okay. So we got off the bus, and then we were told to like line up, put our bags down. This guy was also yelling at us, telling us to take off our belts, any jewelry, making sure we all had socks on, because that's a thing for MEPS. We have to put our backpacks on and show our ID. When you walk into like the building, it's a government building, so you have to show identification. You can't take weapons or anything. It's like common sense. But when you walk in, you have to like have your ID like in an outstretched arm before you can even go through the metal detectors or put your stuff through the x-ray machine. So you did that, and the guy told us, you have to do it with an outstretched arm, and you have to have your ID ready, or else I will send you to the back of the line. And there were like kind of a lot of people there. Like I don't think as many as like what MEPS usually would have on a day, because I think they reduced their numbers by a lot because of the pandemic. You wait in line, and usually at MEPS they have us wait in lines of 5. But yeah, it was lines of 3, so a little bit slower. Gave them my temperature check papers and my ID, and then they sent me to my liaison's office. So all of them have their little offices and stuff. The Navy office was like 4 times as big as the Air Force office. Riddle me that. Kind of jealous. And also those recruits got backpacks. I did not get a backpack. I'm upset about it still. And then you go to the front desk and you have your name tag sticker, and you get like a sticker with like 5 or 6 boxes. And those boxes all represent like parts of the physical that you've done. So like if you already did your P test, they have a yellow highlighter, you fill it in yellow. If you did your blood test, they have a red highlighter or a red marker, and you do it in red. So like they can just look at you and see what station you need to go next. Really easy. And I walked in this room, and this really nice nurse was like,
oh hey, like do you want to do the vision test right now?
And I was like, sure. And so she pulled me into the vision room, and she had me do a reading test. It was pretty easy. It was just like a solid paragraph. just to see if you can read, I guess. Or maybe it's to see how far you comfortably hold something away from your face. But I told her I wore glasses, so I had to go get them. Oh, if you wear glasses or contacts, even if it's just for reading or just for computer work, bring it with you. And you can take the test with your glasses on, which will help you. So I did the depth perception test and like some other test and like followed her finger and all the other vision tests. I was supposed to go to a hearing test, and so I waited outside the room for a while, and then they called literally everyone into the briefing room where we sat for like 2 hours. And between the beginning of the brief, in the middle of the brief, and at the end of the brief, everyone passed around hand sanitizer. It was like crazy. But anyways, so there were 17 total recruits that day that were being processed doing a physical examination, and there were only 4 girls, and I was one of the 4. The lieutenant told us that the day was gonna go by super fast because there's literally 17 of us, so we'd probably be out of there by like noon or 1. And then we had to take a breathalyzer test, so like, don't show up to MEPs drunk. Common sense, right? Right? Okay, cool. So then we were released back to go on the medical floor. Lieutenant told me to sit in this chair, and he was like, you're gonna get your blood drawn. And I was like, but can I pee first though? Because I really have to pee. And it was like, by the time it was like 9. And so you like have to pee in a cup. But like the problem with the peeing in the cup for girls, girls, we don't really like pee in front of each other. They pretty much let you take the piss test whenever you can or want to, because they don't want the nurse to have to sit in there and watch you for like 10 minutes while you're just like really trying to get in your zone to pee. They just want you to get in there and pee. So I went in to the pee room, and you have to take your pants and your chonies all the way to your ankles. And then so when it was done, you get to like finally wash your hands, and you get to flush your toilet, you get to go. And then so I got sat in the blood chair, but then they were like, actually it's time to go to a hearing. So I get in there, and these headphones are so freaking tight. Like they are hard rubber. Usually there's like, I think 6 people, but I think there were just 4. And you put your headphones on, and then you have a clicker. So every time you hear the beeps, it's not just one beep, it's beep, 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 like in a series, and you click. And they're all different frequencies. So they're not gonna be like beep, beep, beep. Oh, click. They're gonna be like beep, beep. Like they're super high pitched, and they're like quiet. Like they sound 100 yards away. And so in my left ear I heard like a ton of beeps, and then it switched to my right ear because it was like one at a time, it doesn't go back and forth. And in my right ear, and I was like literally half the amount of beeps, and I was like, am I hard of hearing in my right ear? Like I did not know this. Anywho, so then I got out of the ear, and then they asked to do blood draw, and I was like, sure. I have small veins. I don't know how to tell you to avoid the problem I encountered at this part of my MEPS experience. I have no idea how I would do better next time, because I was hydrated, I drank a lot of water, I had literally just peed, so I wasn't like dehydrated, like my veins weren't dying of thirst. It was just how it was. She like tourniquets both my arms, you know, to like find the vein and push on the thingy, and I have small veins, like they're just deep in there. And I told them that too, because they asked like, oh, have you ever fainted before? Are you queasy at the sight of blood? And like, let us know. And so I was like, all right, I got you. I have small veins. I don't know if this information is going to help you do your job, but I'm presenting this information to you in case it's necessary, okay? And they were like, yes, thank you. We only have one size needle. And I was like, great. So she finds a vein in my right arm, puts it in. I'm not even looking. Using the ball to keep the blood pumping, and it's just, it gets in there, and it stops giving blood. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, your vein just stopped giving blood. And I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you. So she takes the thing out, caps the vial, and is like, this is not enough blood, because like if the vial was this big, this was full to like here. And I was like, but please, can I be done? And she's like, no, we gotta keep going. So she gets another dude nurse to come over, and she's like, hey, like, will you find this vein? This other guy who's a medic came over and started taking blood out of my left arm. And I got a fat bruise. Let me get you in here real close. This is my bruise from getting my blood drawn. It's terrible. It's a horrible experience. 0 out of 10. I would not recommend. And then by that time, my nice nurse came over, and she was like offering me to squeeze her hand, but she was like, squeeze my scrubs because corona. So I was like, okay. So I was like squeezing on her scrubs and being like didn't even look. I never once saw the needle go in or come out. I was not looking. I was not interested. I was looking completely away, thinking happy thoughts. She was like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm doing so great. I am amazing. And like literally crying. But like I didn't want to cry, but I was so close to crying, and she knew that because like you could just see me, and I was like, I'm doing great. This is fantastic. This is my favorite thing to do. I love MEPs. By this time, the doctor, like one of the doctors who was doing the P test came and started watching, and then the lieutenant came and started watching, and they were all just like, and I was like I was so pissed off at my arms. And I kept like squeezing the ball. I was looking away. And so he puts it in this vein and I feel him pull it out. And I'm like, oh, are we done? And he goes, nope, and puts it right back in. And I was like, that goes for like another whole minute. And then he pulls it out again, undoes the tourniquet, puts it back in. So this arm, like it went in 3 times, which is why I have a gnarly bruise a whole week later. It was worse the other day. This one also had a bruise. Like the tiny little bruise right there. It was yellow the other day, so now it's like healing. And then I got to go talk to the doctor, or a doctor. They have multiple doctors there to talk to, and it's just like a counseling thing. Like they interview you and make sure you didn't leave anything off of your medical history. Like they'll ask you a couple questions about stuff on there. Everyone says they're super scary and mean. I had a really nice female doctor who was just really like young and really cool. After that, all the girls got called in the room for the actual like physical part where you do all these different like weird exercises and stuff, and then she takes your height and your weight. When you get in there, just listen. It's not difficult. I did not think it was difficult. And then after that, if you all pass that and stuff, you go into one-on-one to the doctor, and that's where you get fully naked. You have that, so you have the gown for, so you go in there, put the gown on, take off your drawers, and then you do a couple like eye tests for the doctor and open your mouth. They have to look at your bite. Was weird doing it with a mask on the entire time, except for like when she was like, okay, like take off your mask, let me see your bite. And then because I'm going Air Force, you have to pop your ear. So, and then you lay on a table and they do a breast exam. And I'm fortunate enough to have had a female doctor. Regardless, you always have another person in the room with you. And then they said I was qualified. And then so I got to go to my liaison's office. I was actually the first person off the medical floor that day. I got to do the X Factor, which is like a deadlift to a clean, and then you have to just push it over your head a little bit. It doesn't have to go like full extension. I think it would be hard for short people because I'm pretty tall, so it was kind of hard for me. Like you're supposed to get like 70 pounds is the thing to like qualify for all the jobs that require heavy lifting. I got to 60. That 70, I tried it 3 times. I could not get it past the line. I got it like this close to the line and I was like, does it count? And he's like, no. They show you how to do it and they give you tips on like how to not hurt yourself while you're doing it because they don't want you to injure yourself, obviously. I went to get lunch and everyone says that lunches are bad. That's accurate. That's accurate information. They're not the worst. They're alright. I got a ham sandwich, which was literally just like 1 piece of ham and like 1 piece of cheese on like the thickest Subway bread ever. It was like 90% bread. I was like, okay. Yeah, after that I got to go into like phase 1, 2, and 3, which are like swearing phases. And I'm swearing into DEP because DEP is delayed enlistment program. So basically I go in and just kind of wait for one of my jobs to open up. You're supposed to put like 10 for that. I don't know, they might have changed it to 20. I waited in the room again, like the little holding room, and I got to swear in with one of the girls that's going into the Navy and some other dude that's going to the Air Force. So it was like a really small swearing ceremony and no parents were allowed in there and we had to wear masks. And the person who briefed us taught us what standing at attention was, parade rest, you know, what to say when they walk in. It was really cool. I really enjoyed it. The swearing ceremony process was really cool. Lieutenant was super nice. He said a lot of inspiring things, which was really great. It was definitely very interesting with the reduced numbers going through MEPs because you're so prepared of like, oh, there's gonna be so many people there, you're gonna be there all day, like it's gonna take forever. But honestly, it didn't take that long and every single person had a mask, and before you could even approach the desks, they made you sanitize your hands. You know, no one was like hacking and coughing on each other, and we were all kind of definitely keeping our distance. I think it was good that I went at the time of coronavirus because it was faster and pretty hassle-free, honestly. Like they kind of wanted to get you out of there, so they went pretty quick. Yeah, now I'm waiting in the DEP program. My top 5 jobs are photojournalist, broadcast journalist, signals intel, operational intel, and geospatial intel. So I'm going in as an E3, which is a first class airman, which I'm very excited about. Let me know if you have any questions about enlisting or taking the ASVAB. Thanks for watching. Down below is gonna be my Instagram. Okay, bye guys.